Thank you for coming this morning. We appreciate your presence. I would like to know, from your point of view, where Paul Volcker fits in and whether the administration at any level is really listening to him.
I think you'd have to ask the administration. I know that they've been in touch with him. He's made some suggestions with regard to bank reform. But in terms of overall economic policy, I don't know that I've heard anything from him. And I wouldn't know whether the administration is listening to him or not.
Congressman, thank you for your service. Recently, Speaker Pelosi said she joins with others in wanting to investigate those who are opposing the Ground Zero Mosque, and I'm just curious about your comments on her statements.
I really don't understand what should be investigated. The American people are concerned about this. No one doubts the right of these people to build a mosque where they see fit. But just because they have the right to do something doesn't mean that it's the right thing for them to do. And the American people overwhelmingly believe that this is not the right thing to do.
Mr. Congressman, would you comment on the connection between our immigration policy, or what it ought to be, and the economic activity in the country?
Well, the issue of immigration obviously has been a very divisive issue for the last several years in America. We have a large number of illegal immigrants, undocumented workers, if you will, in our country. But I think the first thing we have to remember is this. The United States allows more than 1 million people annually to come here legally. 1 million. More than all of the other countries in the world put together. And I think that when you look at how open our arms are, it's pretty clear that we're a nation of immigrants. When you look at the overall problem, though, the American people are upset because we are unable and have been unwilling to secure our borders and enforce our laws. And I don't think the American people will allow the Congress or the government in Washington to move down the path in terms of anything that looks like comprehensive reform until they have some confidence that we are willing and have the ability to secure our borders and enforce our laws.
Congressman, welcome back to Cleveland. I'm Craig Marvany out of southwestern Cuyahoga County, Strongsville, North Royalton. Nice tie, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Across the country, as voters are sorting out who to vote for between the candidates for local, state, and federal races, they've got a choice in this tough economy of needing to build jobs and not kill jobs. Are voters better off generally considering, as a general proposition, candidates with private sector business experience who know how to build jobs, or people who come from the government, who've spent their entire careers in the government and have never held a job in the private sector?
You know, I used to play softball. Well, let me tell you a story. I was growing my business in the mid to late 70s. Along the way, while I was growing my business, I got involved in my neighborhood homeowners association. And it ended up putting me on a path that I never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever be on. You know, I'm the last guy in the world who should be standing here as a Republican leader in the House, having 11 brothers and sisters. My dad owned a bar. We didn't have much, if anything. But, you know, growing up in America, you can grow up and be anything you want to be. And you can do anything that you want to do. And America's been an opportunity machine for 200 years. We create opportunities for our citizens unlike any other country in the world. That's been the key to our success. But the bigger the government gets, the smaller the people get. The more the government takes, the less you have to invest in yourself, your family, your community, your business. I never wanted to do this, but I thought the government was choking the goose that was laying the golden egg. And I believe that what Washington needed, what Ohio needs, is people from the real world to take a more active role in their government. That's what got me into this. Sometimes I wonder. But I think, you know, I have students come up and ask me all the time, hey, I want to have a career in politics. What do you think I should do? First thing I tell them to do is go get a real job. Go out there and get some experience. Go out there and understand what's going on in your community, because what we need in Washington are people who will come there with a wealth of experience and a background to make sound judgments on behalf of their constituents.
Good morning, Representative Boehner. Thank you very much for coming to the City Club of Cleveland. You mentioned Representative Paul Ryan, and I understand he will head the House Budget Committee if the Republicans take back the House in November. He's outlined a budget plan called Roadmap for America's Future, which I understand will erase, the plan is that it would erase the federal deficit by 2063, simplify the tax code, and significantly alter Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. It only has 13 co-sponsors, Republican co-sponsors, and it's reported that that Representative Ryan has said that his GOP colleagues are too afraid to endorse a plan that they agree with. And you've indicated that the roadmap will not be part of the Republican agenda this fall, and that you have doubts about how good the policy is for parts of the plan. Can you tell us which parts of the plan you have doubts about?
Well, when you look at Paul Ryan's work, I've got to tell you, he and his colleagues on the Budget Committee have done some really, really good work in putting this plan together. But let's talk about what it is. It's not a budget. It's a 75-year plan written by a handful of members who did serious work at trying to figure out how we address the big problems facing our country. Listen, I said it earlier. It's time that we have an adult conversation with the American people about the challenges we face. We face big challenges, both in the short term and in the long term. Our job, all of us, not just 535 members of the Congress, all of us have a responsibility to leave our country in better shape than what we found it. You probably have a hard time finding an American today who believes that that's the case. That challenge is in front of us. And we're not going to solve that challenge by getting into the usual scare tactics and political nonsense that goes on. Let's have an adult conversation. I know it's not going to be easy, but the sooner we have this conversation about the problems we face, the potential solutions to those problems, and then, obviously, zeroing down on what the real solutions are, we're never going to brighten the future for our kids and theirs.
The administration, for a whole host of reasons, wants to wean the United States to a significant extent off carbon-based fuels. Every analysis shows that nuclear power produces most of the megawatts to do that. Yet the only repository for nuclear waste planned or conceived or developed in this country is Yucca Mountain in Nevada, and it is stopped dead in its tracks by Harry Reid. If the Republicans can take back Congress, what position would the party take on opening Yucca Mountain so our nuclear reactors have some place to put their waste?
Most Republicans have supported Yucca Mountain for the 20 years that I've been there. And the American people would be shocked to know how much nuclear waste is laying just miles from their home. It's laying at every nuclear plant around the country. Why? Because we can't get Yucca Mountain finished because it's not politically correct. We've invested tens of billions of dollars in a storage facility that is as safe as anything we're going to find. But even if we're not willing to store it, then why wouldn't we as a country begin to reprocess much of this nuclear waste, where you can reduce the waste by about 90%? Listen, when the French can produce 82% of their electricity with nuclear power, there's no reason why the United States can't.